Welcome to Pipeline Pulse, a special report concerning entrepreneurship through acquisition from around the globe.
Welcome to a Pipeline Pulse special report. I am Karen Spencer. I hope you enjoyed our previous report on search fund formations. As you'll recall, a search fund is a vehicle where an individual purchases a small or mid-sized business through financing from banks and investors. This report will cover the trends in the acquisition of those businesses by searchers. Before we dive into the numbers, I'd like to remind you that the ETA Launch Hub is accepting applications. Be sure to get your application in soon before the cohort starts. We appreciate the support of our new scholarship sponsor, System 6, as well as the continued support of Live Oak Bank's Search Fund Lending Center. For more information, please click the link with this video. By way of background, this is a chart of search fund acquisitions through 2021. This is the data that we had until recently. As you can see, the number of search funds acquiring businesses was minimal until we hit the 2000s, and then it gradually began to take off. About a decade later, in the mid-teens, it really began to take off. Curiously, in 2020, which was the start of the pandemic, we saw a slight increase in the number of acquisitions, and then that number jumped in 2021. So let's unveil the numbers through 2022. Now, the green line, which we just saw, covers the earlier data that we had that went only through the year 2021, even though it was collected in 2022. The blue line represents the data that was collected late last year and covers the period through 2022. As you can see in the years 18, 19, and 20, that there is a slight upward adjustment between the prior data and the current data. This is natural and happens with this crowdsourced information. It often takes some time for searchers to declare their acquisition because there are sensitive customer, supplier, or employee relationships, and they're dealing with the stress and tensions of the transition period itself. And as you can see, for 2021, the numbers jumped substantially. I expected a rise, but not necessarily this much. Now, the final data point is for 2022. The number for acquisitions for 2022 is nearly identical to the number for 2021. We know that that is the minimum. We don't know how high it may adjust in the future as more information comes in. At least for today, we can say that 2022 was as successful a year for acquisitions as 2021. Now, this being crowdsourced data, we'd like to talk about 2023. I do have some information to show you next. The blue line represents the first half of the year. The purple line represents the second half of the year, with the gray being the total. What we see for 2023 is that the level is just below where it was for 2021. Now, as I mentioned, this is crowdsourced data. 2023 just closed. By way of comparison, this chart is the starts or formations of search funds. The number of launches for the first half of 2023 so far is higher than 2022 numbers. We cannot say the same when it comes to purchases. I don't know exactly what this means. Is it a tougher market because of interest rates or valuations generally for searchers to acquire? Or is it something where we just need more time for the crowdsourcing to take effect? So I'm going to return now to the previous chart showing you the current trend line for acquisitions. This is the comparison of the first and second half of the years in terms of acquisitions. I've added the trend line, a generally rising trend line despite the pandemic. For those who have made it this far in the video, I thought I'd offer you a bonus. I had an opportunity to do some number crunching on the length of time it takes for someone to acquire a business. So let's go back to the starts and I'll explain how I did the data. What I did was take the data in 10-year periods. I looked at the data from 2013 through 2022, and then another cohort between 2003 and 2012. I compared the formation dates with the acquisition dates and then did some statistical analysis. I felt like this was appropriate cutoff points because in 2013, about there was when search funds really started to take off. So I was really looking at two different phases of this search fund phenomenon. I also looked at the median, which is who is the searcher in the middle of the data set. During that 10 years, who was the middle person? How long did it take the middle person to acquire a business? For the average, we see that the average went down from 23.4 months down to 20.9 for a difference of 2.5 months. This was statistically significant. And it is also practically significant. If a searcher can save 2.5 months on search costs, that is savings that drops down to their bottom line. Now, the median shows a difference of 2.3 months. And I took a look at that and did some statistical analysis on it and found that it was not statistically significant. The effect size also was minimum. So that makes for a murkier picture. What we can say is based on the two sets of data for the two different periods that the difference in 2+ months may not be anything more than random chance. The person in the middle is likely somewhere around 20 months. We have a Q&A this week on launching your journey to business ownership, where I'll answer some commonly asked questions about startup and acquisition entrepreneurship. If you haven't gotten your application in for the ETA Launch Hub, be sure to do that soon. Then we have scaling your small business with AI. I'm really looking forward to that discussion because of its emphasis on the small business owner. Please support these reports by liking, commenting, and subscribing today. With that, I will see you soon. Take care.
Please support our efforts to bring you the news by liking and commenting on this video and subscribing to our channel. Thank you for your support.